Okay, sorry. That wasn't me like cutting or anything. That's like my camera cuts out after every 10 minutes. I don't know if you can kind of tell that or whatever from the other videos. I don't know if it's 10 minutes. It's like 15 minutes or something. We're airing all the secrets here. Here we go. All right. So what I was talking about is in that ending, the second ending, where you decide to lie to Rachel essentially. Rachel, she somewhere mid game, she kind of says that Chloe, after all this bullshit happened to her in the middle of the game there, Chloe's the only one who's ever there for her, and she can ever feel like she can rely on, and maybe that's not necessarily true. I mean, her mom is kind of a good person, and but you can't, when you're a teenager, you don't always trust your parents, alright? And it's kind of a mistake, and whatever, because your parents are good people generally. I don't know your situation. Granted, I have great parents, and I have great friends and all that. Like I said earlier, disclaimer, my life's pretty good, but all things considered, compared to some people out there. But I think that lying to Rachel, when she says that you're the only one that she can trust, when she feels like you're the only light in a dark tunnel, and honestly, if you've played the first game, you know exactly that you pretty much are her only light in a dark tunnel, and Rachel's Chloe's light in a dark tunnel. Chloe's got a really messed up family life too. Her dad dies, and like David steps in, and she can't really, handle that because she doesn't like David, and she thinks that David's trying to fill in the role of her dad or whatever. And totally, David redeems himself. Let me just be honest. That's my opinion on the situation. I really like David. I think David's a great character. He has his head in the wrong place a lot of times, but he's in a lot of ways, he's like Rachel's dad, where he butts his head in where things don't belong and tries to make things good, but ends up just making it bad a lot of more times. But he's more being secure than he's trying to make things feel secure more than Rachel's dad, who's just an asshole and is doing evil things, knowing full well what he's doing. David's trying to be a good guy, but he is a little misguided. And he's kind of a war veteran, so that's kind of another aspect of his character that he's kind of, he's traumatically affected by that. One of his friends dies in war or whatever, so it's no wonder David is really protective of his family and stuff, and he's a good father figure for Chloe, really, all things considered, even though he cares a little bit too much sometimes, and that's a mistake of a parent, and parents do that. But anyway, Chloe has some trust issues too, obviously. That's what I'm trying to say here. And Rachel feels like Chloe's the only one that she can trust, in the entire world. And if you lie to her, all of that just goes down the drain, It's really... It feels so wrong to lie to her at that point. Especially when the other ending's a lot better. And it doesn't change the little post scene, but whatever. I mean, that wasn't necessary to begin with, so. And so, in Life is Strange, we find out also that, I've talked about this a little bit in my 2017 video, but Rachel is, at some point Rachel betrays Chloe, or not betrays Chloe, but they have a rift in their relationship, and she eventually goes to hanging out with Frank, and then eventually Mr. Jefferson, which leads her down the path to her inevitable death, which is sad. It's really sad. I mean, the whole game is really... Both games are really a bummer, but they're they're so good, such good experiences, they're so impactful, and meaningful. And I think that everybody should play these games, and, but especially knowing what happens to Rachel, if you don't want to be the one good thing in her life, that just resonates really badly. So anyway, the way I can tie this all back into what I was feeling earlier, last night that is, and this morning and everything, and I was thinking about, is that if you love and care about somebody, please just, please be very trustworthy with them. You can tell them things. You can be real with them. They're gonna, more than likely, if you've got a good set of family and a good set of friends, they're gonna understand, and they're gonna be able to, help you with that and help you cope with that kind of thing. And I know it's hard to talk to your family and friends about this kind of thing. I mean, look at me. What am I doing? I'm making a video for the internet about it, and not necessarily... It's not something you really want to drop on anybody. I know my brother's probably... It's like, whatever. It's important, okay? This is an important message that I'm putting out there to people. Trust is a key thing to our relationship. Now, I'm not just talking about man, woman, 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 man, man, whatever. Whatever kind of relationship you have, and I'm not talking about a loving relationship. I mean, love has many senses of the word. I'm not just talking about a relationship between you and another person that's your significant other. I'm talking about a relationship between you and people that you love. Your parents you love. You don't love them like you love a significant other. You love them in a different way. You love them because they're your parents and they've been there for you, in most cases. I realize I'm not speaking to everyone in this, but if your parents were there to love you, you love them for that reason. You love your friends for the same reason. You feel very trusting of them. You've been through a lot of experiences with them, and you feel like you can trust them and that you can tell them anything for the most part. I mean, with friends it's a little more tricky. Even with parents it's a little more tricky. I feel like everyone has secrets that they keep, and that's fine. And you don't have to tell everyone everything, but when something's bothering you and it's really doing you no good and you're lying about it, it's only going to make you feel worse. It's going to make them feel worse when they find out about it. So honestly, most of the time, the lie is not the real answer. I know Life is Strange paints it as a little ambiguous on both sides, with her dad and her dad kind of telling her, her dad, obviously. Now, okay, that's another thing, little theory for you there. I think Chloe has the power to communicate, at least with her dad, as in the dead, but maybe with just the dead in general. I don't really know, but in Life is Strange, your protagonists generally have powers. Max has the time power. Chloe, I believe, has the power to talk to her dead dad, in some sense. Now, a lot of times it's implied that it's the stream of consciousness of Chloe's mind, and her dad is more just a representation of her consciousness and her conscience, sorry, like Jiminy Cricket style, where he's kind of trying to lead her off the wrong path, but I don't know. And that's kind of irrelevant to all of this, but at one point near the end, he kind of has this heart-to-heart with you where he's like, well, yeah, sure. He implies that he doesn't actually necessarily say it because it's Chloe kind of thinking to herself in a sense, and it's also could be her dad, his ghost in a sense or something. But anyway, he's sort of saying that, maybe I did lie to you, but would that let you love me any less? And the player definitely has the option to say one way or another. They can say, yeah, obviously I do love you less because of that, or of course not. Why would I love you less because of that? And I think the of course not is what a lot of people would feel, because at least that's how I feel about it. I can't speak for everyone, and it's kind of a really complex human thing, where about trust or whatever, and I don't know if that would ruin it for some people, but on a base, emotional level, I still love my family and friends no matter what, and I think that it's important that it's important that you don't lie to people, I know, that's what I've been saying, but it's like, that's what I'm getting at here, is that it's important to be really trustworthy with somebody, and if you do lie to people, that's fine. I mean, that's a thing that humans do as well. We can't always just be honest with people. Sometimes a lie is better, like in school and stuff. I don't know, like, I'm not advocating that you lie, but we all tell little white lies, and sometimes when they're through for things that we don't necessarily have any bearing on, or like actually care about how it affects people, then it's like, okay, well, but when you're lying to people you love and trust and care about, at the very least, it's kind of bad. And I've done it a lot too, obviously. Everyone does it, and I think, anyway, would assume that's a regular human thing, that everyone lies to their family and friends and whatever. And I'm not going to bring up specifics or anything because I can't really think of any at the moment. But we all lie, and that's something. But I think it's important to remember that those people love you, and they feel like they can trust you, and you should feel like you can trust them and tell them things and be real with them. And me and Jameson having that conversation last night about different things that he wasn't really interested in, that I showed him, he was still very receptive to the fact that it's good that I showed him those things, because even though he wasn't personally interested in them and he really actually ended up hating some of them, it was good to know that for going forth. And that's what I told him, and I hope he really takes this away from this, is that going forth, we can move on, and we can not lie to each other about that kind of stuff, and we can make our friendship better because of it. And I think that's important to know. And that
It's nice Rachel we're having.
What?